What's cracking, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Iron Maiden, and indeed we're going to keep it rolling. I've done a song from each of the first four Bruce Dickinson albums, so you know what? Let's go to the fifth Bruce Dickinson album, and we're going to listen to Seventh Son of the Seventh Son, or the album. We're actually going to listen to the tune The Evil That Men Do. I did want to mention, I talked about this a little bit, I forget which reaction it was. I think it was just the original one, where the first Iron Maiden reaction I did was to Hallowed Be Thy Name. But I was talking about how Bruce had mentioned, or no, maybe it was Caught Somewhere in Time from the Somewhere in Time album. That would make more sense. But I was talking about how with that album, I had read after the fact that Bruce, wasn't his most enjoyable experience recording that album. A lot of his songs, I guess, had been rejected, and I've heard Steve Harris talk about like he thought Bruce was sort of burned out, and that's why his material that he was putting out or trying to get onto the album wasn't the best that he had ever done. I don't know too much about that, but I do remember reading that Bruce was very happy with this album because he got to contribute to the songwriting more, and it was a concept album that he really felt like proud of, like when they finished it and accomplished it. So shout out to Bruce, shout out to the band. Let's look a little bit at the album. I did forget to show the artwork for Peace of Mind on the inside, where it shows the band sitting at this sort of like medieval mansion sort of table, and there's a brain on a platter, and then the disc itself has a picture of the brain. So I apologize for not showing that, but let's look at the artwork from Seventh Son of a Seventh Son. As I said, this is a concept album. It's sort of a, the individual songs are stories, but the overall album itself is a story. So like I said, shout out to the extra going the extra mile to make a truly immersive piece of art for an album. As I said, we're going to listen to The Evil That Men Do. This is written by Adrian Smith, Bruce Dickinson, and Steve Harris. Shout out to three of the guys getting together and writing a great song. And again, to me, I really was interested by this song because it fit in, I forgot, below the CD case, some more interesting art. Shout out to Eddie, who shows up in many places. But I did want to mention the lyrics. I talked about it in the Hallowed Be Thy Name reaction. One of the things that really interested me when I started doing this deep dive on Iron Maiden is that it shattered preconceived notions I had about metal and metal lyrics. And again, as I said in that reaction, I know there are different subgenres like doom metal and black metal and so on, and I know that the lyrical content will tend to be different in these different subgenres. But I just had always thought of metal as embracing evil and embracing the wicked and carnage and death and destruction and so on. And while there may be some songs that play with those sort of themes, like The Number of the Beast, that hey, Hellfire has got to be released, it's got to come out, but there are songs like 2 Minutes to Midnight that were hey, we could kill ourselves. Eddie could take us all if we're not fucking careful. And Fear of the Dark is about feeling vulnerable and worried, when you're by yourself and so on. So I was fascinated that their lyrics were in some ways vulnerable, or they were lyrics that went beyond or were even the flip side of the sort of vibe and the ethos that I had just sort of assumed was in most metal lyrics. And I think this one is the case too. It's talking about look, the good things that people do, they may make an impact in the moment or whatever, but they're fleeting, they don't last. But the evil that men do, the bad things that men do, they can have consequences that just cascade down through the generations and cause immeasurable misery and suffering, across large swaths of territory and so on. So it's this idea that we're always sort of behind the eight ball as a species in terms of trying to treat each other decently and get things right, because it just takes one asshole to cause a lot of pain and suffering and death and so on. So yeah, at least that's what I have taken away from the song. As I mentioned, I've been listening to a lot of punk bands like Subhumans and Bad Religion and Dead Kennedys literally for over 25 years, or even longer in some cases. Like Propaganda I've been listening to for almost 30 years now. But Iron Maiden, it's a more recent deep dive, so please do someone tell me if I have a misinterpretation, or if you at the very least have an alternative interpretation. All opinions are welcome here, and I'm one of those people. I'd rather be corrected and have someone say, hey, thanks for doing this, but check it out, here's what he's talking about and so on. I'd rather have that than me just continue to talk in ignorance and no one to hey, actually this is what he's talking about. But yeah, that's what I took this song to mean. Just that ultimately, humans are sort of screwed in the sense that it takes a lot of people and a very concerted effort to make good things happen. It just takes one piece of shit for bad things to happen for long periods of time. So that's what I took away from this. Let's get to it. This is The Evil Men Do, or The Evil That Men Do, on Seventh Son of a Seventh Son. Is this 1986? Or is it 88? I think this is 88. Let me just make sure of that really quick before we start. I do want to give out as accurate of Seventh Son. Okay, this came out in 1988. Right, so this is April of 88. So here we go, The Evil That Men Do. I forget what show it was, if it was one of those like mega shows in South America or whatever, but I saw them do a live version of this. People were really into it. Taking that woman who is referenced there to be a general person, just a victim of history, someone who died unjustly and who we all wish we could bring back. But again, let me know if there's a specific reference there that I'm missing. Voice is just ridiculous. Again, like, I think some of these lyrics are related to the story of this album, but like, my brain is always keen to generalize things, so I do love that line, living on a razor's edge. We could go this way, we could go this way. Unfortunately, it's easier to fall this way, even if we'd like to go the other. It's like, I keep talking about their solos. It's like their solos manage to capture the vibes of the different songs that they're in. This one was kind of like wistful and reflective, as opposed to the solos in like Hallowed Be Thy Name that are very like intense. Basically, compositionally, they are as impressive as anything else. intensification there and that extra guitar layer coming in, just singing out. Brilliant. Shout out to Bruce at that vocalization at the end. I love that. A bit of rasp in his voice. Like I said, I'm just a big fan of that song. Like musically, lyrically, I really enjoy it. As I said, there's a bit of ambiguity to me whether some of the lines are specific to the story on this album, whereas, you know, when I'm listening to punk rock lyrics or any kind of lyrics, I'm just like, okay, here's the particular context that they come from, but, you know, how might that apply in a broader context or in other situations and so on. So I think my brain is sometimes keen to do that. So like I said, I think the song can be taken for a general message like I was referring to earlier, but let me know if there is a key detail I'm missing or like failing to understand in the specific context of the album. But yeah, like I said, a big fan of this album overall. I do love the title track, Seventh Son of a Seventh Son. It's fantastic. We'll have to come back for that one for sure. And again, Only the Good Die Young, A Moonchild. I mean, honestly, when I was going through these albums, I remember like, because a lot of them I was listening to while I was doing some work. I work as an editor, I'm an academic editor, I'm a historian, whatever. And there were multiple times where I'd be working, be like, holy shit, like, what is the name of this song? Okay, and then the next one I'd start, like, holy shit, what is it? And then I'd get to the end and be like, well, now I have to remember, like, every song, because every song made me do that. So this was a good example of that. But let me know if there's another one on this album you'd like to hear. Let me know if there's any of the other Bruce Dickinson albums that you'd like me to react to a song from. I'm here for it. As I said, you know, I'm known for being a techno DJ among the crazy techno people who I've been talking to and mixing tunes with for a long time. And I'm also sort of known among some of my friends and people who have been following my other channel as a punk rock person. But I really do enjoy Iron Maiden, and it warms my heart that in the first few videos that I've done, some of the videos have gotten a fair amount of interaction. So I'm here for it. I hope you are too. Let me know if there's any requests you have or any other comments. Love to hear from you. Other than that, I appreciate you watching and listening. Have a good day. Have a good night. I will see you next time. Peace.